Battle of the Brothers, an exclusive new book, details the breakdown of William and Harry's relationship as we reveal where they stand today.
Look, we're brothers. We'll always be brothers. We're certainly on different paths at the moment.
Plus, Duchess Kate stepped out for her first solo appearance since the coronavirus, as we tell you exactly how William celebrated his birthday and Father's Day.
Today, I wanted to talk to you about the importance of being kind and looking after one another.
Plus, photographer Dave Benett reveals the secrets behind some of his favorite royal photographs.
And I think you can start to see it in the body language, where Harry starts to, I suppose, not meaning to, but he does. He's spreading his wings. Mm-hmm. And William just stepping back a little, I go, whoa, I didn't expect that from my brother.
We've got that plus so much more in today's Royally Us. Hello to our fellow royal lovers and welcome to Royally Us. I'm Christina, that's Carly, senior reporter from HuffPost and royal commentator. Hi, Carly.
Hi, Christina. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I am good. I mean, the headlines and the news around the royals never slows down.
It really doesn't. I mean, we say it all the time, but this was a dramatic week.
It was the most dramatic week ever.
The most dramatic week ever. We should get Chris Harrison in there to say that.
We really need to. We need to catch him up on the royals. And then bring
We really do. We really do. Well, before we dive into everything, because like we said, we have a lot to get to, we have to shout out some of our royal watchers, our royal viewers, because you guys, of course, had some great comments last week. So let's kick it off with Prada Kid. Says, hey girls, congrats, thank you. Unfortunately, M and H have become so popular in such a negative light. Even as the spare H would have and could have had a huge role carved out, other than being a spare, he could have showed other countries that spares mean more. Of course, talking about Prince Harry being the spare to William's heir.
Right, and I guess my response to that comment is, what more could Harry be doing? Because you know, right now he's overseeing so many patronages and charities, and he was in the army for 10 years. People were upset when Harry was known as the rebel and he was partying and getting into trouble. You know, now he's settled down, has a family, and has been in charge of these charities forever and is working with veterans and mental health. So I guess what more could he do, you know, in his position?
Yeah, it's like, never enough. You never, I mean, you know, he really can't win, but he is doing a lot. I mean, he has, of course, been on like the down low a little bit because, you know, we've been with coronavirus, he's moved. So there's really not so much they can do, and they don't have any social media presence. So you're not really seeing too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, let's move on to Pre-R. Back to the colonies. That is so insulting. USA is not a colony of UK. Good job taking her to task. Of course, that was with our interview last week with Nicole Young, talking all about her encounter with the Princess of Kent.
Yeah, and we really appreciate Nicole coming on and sharing her story. And I think it's really incredible to look back and see that this was in 2004. Yeah. How much has changed in those 16 years. And you know, considering social media wasn't around then, it's really incredible that against all of the palace forces, they were still able to get the story out there and really spread it wide.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, we really appreciate Nicole taking the time and speaking with us last week. She was great. And then finally, Randy XL. First of all, why didn't Harry leave before he married Meghan? If he wanted a different life, his other girlfriends left him because they didn't like being in the spotlight. Well, we don't really know that.
Right. We've heard, you know, some of them allude to it, but with Harry, right. Like I said earlier, he was in the army for 10 years. He got out in 2015, and then he was sort of figuring out what this next chapter of his royal life would be. And then he met Meghan a year later. So, you know, the two really figured it out together. In 2017, Harry said, no one in the royal family wants the throne. It's a really hard job. So, you know, we've seen that he's been really unhappy or trying to find his role. So, you know, it's hard to pin it on Meghan when it seems that he was figuring out this, you know, second part of his life around the same time that he met her.
All right. Yes, like we said, a lot of great comments, a lot of great stuff from you guys, and keep them coming week after week. We love seeing what you guys have to say. All right. Well, let's kick it off with our royal roundup, our royal news of the week, because we have a lot to get to. So let's start with Prince William. He not only celebrated his 38th birthday on Sunday, but he also celebrated Father's Day. And they gave us a celebration by giving us some new photos of the family, which were just so cute, right?
They were adorable. And Kensington Palace released one of the photos on Saturday, a day ahead of all the celebrations. And it's all three kids on a swing with Prince William. They're all so cute. I love little Louis's face. I love Charlotte's overalls. But yeah, and then they released 2 more photos on Sunday that showed the kids rolling around with their dad in celebration of Father's Day and his birthday. It was absolutely so cute.
Yeah, and Duchess Kate took those photos, right?
She did take the photos. She took the ones of the kids at their estate in Amner Hall, where they've been isolating during lockdown. She took them earlier this month. And then the palace also shared a really sweet photo of Charles and William for Father's Day, and that was taken in December by Duchess Kate as well. So putting those photography skills to use.
She really is. She really is. And we're also getting some details about how William celebrated his big day. Seems like they had a barbecue lunch. They popped some champagne. It seemed like it was a lot of fun.
It really does. Yes, Us Weekly reported that Kate made his favorite steak dish and the kids had burgers. It's so weird to think of the royals actually, grilling out or something.
Right.
So again, royals, just like us, we always have to find a chance to say it.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I'd love to see like photos of William manning the grill.
Right. Does he have a cheesy apron or something? Or that's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
Totally. But yeah, we heard that Kate gave him engraved cufflinks for his birthday, that the kids made some homemade cards and some homemade gifts. So it seems like he was really well celebrated.
Yeah, and a sweet framed photo too of the family, and I love that. That just shows, how important family is to them.
No, totally. All right, let's keep on moving because before Kate did the big celebration, she was, of course, really busy this week. We're going to talk about her first public appearance out amid the coronavirus, but before that, she did a Zoom meeting and all about spreading some kindness. Take a look.
We all have our ups and downs, especially when things change in our lives as they have in so many ways recently. This can cause us to have a huge range of different feelings. Sometimes these feelings can be good, but sometimes they may be uncomfortable and we feel worried, angry, or upset.
So, Carly, what was this all about?
So this was an online school assembly, which was so cute, and Kate joined to really talk to the kids about the importance of kindness and also talk to them about the coronavirus and, the range of emotions that everyone's feeling. And she said, it's okay to feel happy, it's okay to feel sad, and it's okay to take some time for yourself and really think about how you're feeling and check on yourself.
Yeah, definitely. The important messages because, like you said, there's a lot of different emotions going on during this time. And she also gave a trick to the teachers to ensure kids that they don't get nervous, right?
Yes, I actually, the teachers were trying to make sure that the kids didn't get nervous before joining the call. So the teacher only told the kids who they were talking to about 15 minutes before the call because those kids would have been jumping up and down for days if they knew that they were talking to a future queen. Yeah.
I love that. And something else that happened this week, Kate actually teamed up with Duchess Camilla for the very first time, their very first joint appearance. And this was a really special thing because it was the start of Children's Hospice Week. So take a look.
Obviously, I'm a massive fan of the work that the staff do and the fact that, families are able to live as close to their home environment as they possibly can in what is really difficult circumstances is extraordinary. And it's a credit to the staff really that can provide the environment to help them go through, whether it's long-term care or short-term care. It's really awe-inspiring.
I mean, just watching this clip back, brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah, that's when I first watched it, I mean, honestly, just in tears because it's for something so incredibly important, Children's Hospice Week. And they both talked to people who provide this sort of hospice care, and then a family that actually lost their 9-year-old son, Fraser, back in January. And they were talking about how much the centers helped them as a family and the treatment for Fraser. And they also spoke with Fraser's brother, who said that every day in May, he's run a 5K in honor of his brother, who he says was not just his brother, but also his best friend. So, I mean, what an incredible family and what an incredible engagement.
It really was. And he said that he actually raised a lot of money and, now Kate is going to do something to honor him, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So Kate promised the family that she would plant a sunflower in honor of their son, Fraser. So I think we'll probably see that on the Kensington Royal social media channel soon because, Kate and the kids also talked about how much they love gardening, and considering how special this is, I'm sure the whole family will want to participate.
Definitely something to get behind, such a sad story, but it's nice that they can kind of bring some light to this family.
Mm-hmm. And also to to highlight how much work these places do and how much they need funds and they need our help, especially right now during the pandemic.
Definitely. All right, well, while Kate and Camilla were staying busy together, Prince Charles also had an engagement, but he's having some problems with this social distancing.
He is, and it's Prince Charles. He had coronavirus. I mean, I just don't know how much we need to do, but yes, he had a visit with Emmanuel Macron, the Prime Minister of France, and it was in honor, it was the 80th anniversary of General Charles de Gaulle's speech where he encouraged French resistance against Nazi Germany. And during this time, Emmanuel Macron and Prince Charles did not stay the mandatory 6 feet apart. And Emmanuel Macron even put his arm on Prince Charles before quickly pulling it back.
I mean, you tend to forget. I mean, you're around people and you kind of revert back to your old ways, but you almost have to reteach yourself how to interact with people now.
You absolutely do. And it reminded me of a video in March that was going around about politicians who, they're always shaking hands, they're always holding babies, that they just couldn't get it through their heads that they had to stop shaking hands.
Yeah.
Another great example, but they need to go back to the namaste.
Namaste, definitely. Well, while the royals were keeping busy, Harry and Meghan were as well. So they had a week kind of filled with some highs and some lows. So let's kick it off with a high. They sent a letter to the charitable organization Street Games, which has been distributing fresh meals to young people across London amid the coronavirus. But it's not so much the kindness of the letter, it's how they signed the letter, right?
Exactly. A lot of people paid attention to the fact that they signed it Harry and Meghan, and they dropped their titles. And this is something that we've been wondering since January when they stepped back. And in March, when Prince Harry went to his first royal engagements back in the UK and was introduced as just Harry. Mm-hmm. So going forward, people are wondering, are they still going to use their titles? They can't use their His and Her Royal Highness titles. So yeah, it looks like it'll just be Harry and Meghan right now.
Harry and Meghan, just old Harry and Meg. All right, so let's move on to this low for Harry. So there was this news that emerged on William's birthday about this drama surrounding rugby games and a slave song. So kind of break down this situation for me.
Yes, so in the 80s, England rugby fans at rugby games started singing the song Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, which is a slave spiritual. It was used on the Underground Railroad. It's performed at Black funerals. It's such an emotional and painful song for Black people here in America. And the fact that rugby fans sing it without really knowing the history and the context, and that they reportedly started singing it in support of a Black rugby player. Right now, in light of everything that's happening with protests and marches around the world, so many companies, brands, and sports teams are reconsidering, what looks like now people are realizing very racist practices. So this news on William's birthday, it came out that Prince Harry supported a review of the ban of these fans singing this song. I spoke to the Sussex team. They said that Harry will follow the lead of the Rugby Football Union on whatever they decide because he's patron. He didn't say that he supported a ban. He said that he supported a review. But of course, so many places took it as Harry wants to ban this song. England fans were upset. And so many people said, look, he's commenting on William's birthday. When really, a story came out on William's birthday. And like I said, I spoke to his people. The Sunday Times was the first to report it. They were just responding to a request for comment, which is really normal. But it became another slight against his brother, Prince William.
It just so happened to fall on his birthday.
Exactly, yes. Any excuse for, more drama and more conflict. But the real story is, supporting the review, and we'll see that go forward likely this week. We'll check back and see if there's a decision.
Totally. We will keep you updated on that. Well, speaking of Harry and William's rift, that kind of takes us right into our royalty segment of the week, because there is a lot of tea that needs to be spilled, because there are not one, but two big books about to come out around the royal family. Let's kick it off with the first one, Battle of the Brothers, written by Robert Lacey. It's coming out in October, and this is all about the rift between the brothers. So what are we going to learn in this book?
Yes. So Robert Lacey, who is a consultant on The Crown, and he's a historian and biographer, he said that he's been, quote, moved to tears examining the brothers' relationship in the last 18 months.
Wow.
So he's going to do, sort of a full review of the brothers, time together, their childhood, the difficulty that they went through, in their parents' divorce and losing their mom, and now what the past 18 months have been like, and really examining the conflict between the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, it really seems like that this relationship kind of started to crumble. I mean, we had the reporting that it really started to crumble once Meghan entered the picture. I mean, I feel like we kind of knew that already, but it's really kind of, I think it really went to the next level after they got married.
Right. And it all really stemmed from William also saying, I think you're moving too fast with Meghan. And as you know, those things, those are comments that you can't forget. And Harry was also starting the second half of his life. So there was so much change, him trying to find out, what he wants to do. And then also really processing, the emotions that he's felt as a royal, the death of his mom. It seems that it all came up with his brother. And, you all have reporting that they are speaking again. They spoke on William's birthday. And we'll have to see what the next few years really brings for them.
Yeah. I mean, like we also reported, it's kind of sad that we found out, like, if they do kind of reconcile, they're just never going to have that relationship that they used to have. I mean, they were so close. I was watching an interview the other day that they did with Kate a couple years back. And, Kate said, you guys are so incredibly close. And they're like, yeah, we are. And it's a shame, of course there's always a rifts in family, but never on this public of a stance. And, it's sad to see their relationship kind of crumble in the public eye.
Right. And we saw Harry in his 2019 documentary say that we'll always be brothers. We're certainly on different paths now, which for a royal to admit on TV is just like a bombshell.
Oh, 100%. Like, you never expect them to even say anything remotely controversial, and to basically admit that you're having a problem with your brother. That's huge.
Right. And also the cover of Robert Lacey's book is the photo of Harry and Meghan's last engagement, where William and Kate appeared to not say hi or really acknowledge them. So there's really a lot to explore. And there are, in addition to that book, 3 more books coming out. Ahmed Scobie, another celebrity biographer, is writing Meghan Misunderstood. And then, of course, we have Lady Colin Campbell's book coming out.
Yes, I mean, that kind of takes us right into that. So that is, her book is Meghan and Harry, The Real Story, where she basically says that Meghan was trouble from the beginning.
Right. And the trouble that she's alluding to, granted, Lady Colin Campbell has never met Meghan, said that she's heard these stories through friends of friends. The most trouble that she could come up with was that Meghan reportedly said that she was bored at a garden party 4 days after the wedding.
I mean, I can't imagine those are filled with excitement.
Right, exactly. And, Meghan's been in the limelight and the spotlight for so long. She's done so many red carpet events. Maybe 4 days after her wedding, it was a little boring and she was a little tired.
I'm sure you're exhausted. I mean, 4 days after your wedding, you're just like, I just want to kick my feet up and just relax for a minute.
Right. And I remember the photos of that garden party, mostly because I was still recovering from covering the royal wedding myself. And I remember the outfit. I remember her smiling. She's engaging with Prince Charles and Camilla. If she was bored, she did a really good job of hiding it.
She is a good actress. What is Lady what is her tie to the royal family?
So it's distant. She married a Lord Colin Campbell. And she said that she's related by blood or marriage to most of the royalty in Europe. Honestly, this book really seems like a hit piece against Meghan and Harry. She's written a biography of the Queen before that a lot of other biographers said was based on a lot of gossip. She said really controversial things about Jeffrey Epstein. She is really on a whirlwind media tour, but we'll see what this book holds. I'm going to buy it because I read everything about the royal family, so I've got a lot of reading to do in the next week.
We do. Yeah, good thing we're still stuck in quarantine because we have a lot of reading to catch up on. Okay, let's, I'd love to get your take on this one. So Kristen Stewart was announced that she is going to be playing Princess Diana in the upcoming movie Spencer. So this caused a lot of controversy on social media. A lot of people were not happy. A lot of people were happy. What do you think about Kristen taking on this role?
Okay, so I'm one of the people that's really happy that she's taking on this role. I'm nervous for anyone to play the role of Diana. I think it's an impossible role. People will love it or hate it. There will really be no in between. But I think, like the director said, Kristen Stewart will do a really good job of capturing the Diana who is very nervous and anxious in private and, you know, worried about her every move. And then she'll also be able to capture the Diana who's, you know, this incredible presence in public and change the world and, you know, show that vulnerability and also that strength.
Yeah.
We'll see if I regret those words.
I know, right? I mean, you know, Kristen is a wonderful actress. I mean, a lot of people just know her from Twilight, but she's done a ton of movies since then, and she is a great actress, and I think that this will be a good fit. I mean, I'm excited to see what she kind of does with it.
Same, and I like the concept of the movie too. Yeah, where it's going to take place over a long weekend, a 3-day weekend at Sandringham, which is where the royal family spends Christmas. And it's set in the 1990s when Diana figures out that her marriage to Charles isn't working. And just the concept of that is so interesting.
It is. It's really cool. I mean, it's nice that it's like compacted into like this 3-day weekend where, I mean, you know, I'm sure it's going to be a tough role for her to, I mean, it's going to be a tough role for her to play anyway, because so many people are going to judge what she does and how she does it. So
right.
It'll be interesting. I'm excited.
I know. I cannot imagine taking that on. I would just, the criticism. But she's used to it. I mean, sort of like Diana. She's been in the limelight. She's been loved and hated. So maybe she understands it better than anyone.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, let's wrap up our royalty segment, because this is a story that we actually brought to you last week about Meghan's best friend, Jessica Mulroney. Well, now her husband is taking a step back from his Canadian talk show to make room for more diverse voices on their channel amid this whole scandal. So what's going on with these two?
So just to recap last week, just a little bit, Jessica Mulroney, a white woman, basically threatened the livelihood of a Black influencer, Sasha Exeter. There's been extreme fallout from that. She threatened her in private, not in public. Jessica has since lost all of her partnerships. And now her husband, as he said, Ben Mulroney, said on the air earlier this week, he's sort of like the Ryan Seacrest of Canada. And he announced that while he can't speak for his wife, they are both trying to figure out their role in anti-racist actions, and he's going to be stepping down as a talk show host to make room for more Indigenous or Black people or people of color. He will remain on the network for 2 other shows and cover big events. But yeah, the fallout continues, and this was really a move that I didn't see coming.
No, definitely. And now we're learning a little bit more about Meghan and Jessica's friendship now, because obviously she was there at the wedding. Her kids were in the wedding, but now it seems like they're kind of taking a step back from their friendship.
And that's what, as you said, Us Weekly reported that they've had some distance for a while, and now that distance is going to be even more noticeable given what Jessica said, and the fact that Meghan, who is biracial, has also spoken out about Black Lives Matter, saying the names of people killed by police. So this is a cause that Harry and Meghan take to their heart, and they're going to move forward with their foundation, Archwell. So yeah, I don't think we'll see Meghan and Jessica in public or probably in private anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think so. All right, we'll continue to keep you updated on this story, because it seems like it just keeps developing more and more. But let's get on to our royal history segment of the week. We are so excited about this because we have photographer Dave Benett joining us. He has been photographing not only the royals, but celebrities for years, and he's going to kind of tell us the stories behind some of his favorite photos. So let's kick it off. I mean, tell us a little bit about your background, how you got started photographing not only the royals, but celebrities as well.
Yeah. Well, so I started as a news photographer, very sort of, 1977, 78. So I was a news photographer for about 10 years, a little bit less maybe. And then this whole showbiz paparazzi thing arrived. And then suddenly everyone was, making more money taking photographs of celebrities. So it seemed to be, the way to go. And it was also, it was exciting, and it was a whole new genre. Everyone was getting excited about it.
And then how did you move specifically into photographing the royals?
The royals was, well, as I said to you, the royals and me are very much, the reason we sort of get on very well is that I tend to do very big social parties that they're at. So quite often I'm not chasing a royal, they come to where I am. So that relationship changes completely. So for example, Princess, Diana, the Princess of Wales, actually used to say, "Oh, Mr. Bennett's here." And, that was fine. You see what I mean? Because I was there for someone's book launch and she'd come. The host would tell her that, that I was there. And then, so that relationship was always a little bit sort of not so stressed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
It does, yeah. A definite difference than the photographers that show up to photograph the event.
Right. I mean, even now, I'll be the host photographer at Audi, where Harry and William would play polo for the weekend, and that's when, so obviously they'd know that I was there. We'd be not chatting, but they'd be aware that I'd be taking pictures of them with celebrities.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, looking back, what would you say is your either favorite or most iconic royal photograph that you've ever taken?
Well, one of the first pictures I ever took of Diana, where she's looking at me, it's in black and white. It was very early. I think they'd only just announced that she was engaged to Charles. And she's so doe-eyed in this picture. I love it, and she's so young too. And then, generally, I suppose, as I photographed her, polo or motor racing, the Grand Prix with Harry, sometimes with William when they were kids. I think, the thing about Diana is that I think it so suddenly ends, which is a shame, but I suppose it's just those wistful looking from afar pictures that, that when she was, with the boys, and then one of her favorite things was always dance. So whenever you saw her anywhere that was with ballerinas, dancers, she'd totally light up. She'd be, really comfortable being there. So those incidents are probably my favorite times with her.
Mm-hmm. And we spoke to another photographer who said that Diana always made sure to turn slightly towards the camera to, get a better photo. Did you find that she also,
Yeah, I mean, totally, totally. So if you're one-on-one with her, she always looks at you, really does. She disarms you. And I think that's what, I don't like the way sometimes people try and make out that's because she was trying to do something. I think it's not that at all. I think it's just that her nature was, if she liked you, she'd look straight at you. Mm-hmm. So that was, which made the picture even better,
I mean, it seems like just by you talking about her, it seems like you guys had a good working relationship as well. I mean, it's...
Yeah, as I say, because, and I mean that, because there was, we weren't, I'd be at a premiere and she'd come, if it was a royal premiere. And obviously with, stepping out with Liza Minnelli, that was because, so now that, the thing about that picture was that it was a private, so she hadn't actually come, we weren't there for the rota, we weren't there for the official photography. We were actually there because she liked us enough, she didn't mind that we were there. And obviously they only gave us 8 seconds, but it was 8 seconds that really mattered, and she's giggling, they're laughing, they're talking, they're 2 schoolgirls really, if you look at the picture, where they're both, she's laughing and Liza's sort of mumbling something to her, just as 2 young women would have done.
Mm-hmm. And have you ever had any sort of stressful run-ins with the royals where maybe you were at a party or something and they didn't want to be photographed?
Well, yes and no. I mean, if you were at a nightclub, then obviously if, the young princes came, there'd be that problem. But I never photographed them when they did. That wasn't my brief. That was never my brief. And even if I was in a party for an event, it would only, the organizer knew that. I would, never, don't ask me to try and pap someone at a party. I mean, that applies with any celebrity too. Mm-hmm. Those days are gone. Those days were, 30 years ago, not, I think I'd probably say I crossed over in 94 where I was always inside and not outside. Mm-hmm. So if that's your relationship, you're not going to start papping someone just because someone asks you to.
Right.
Because your relationship is much longer term. So obviously, in fact, you start becoming a confidant. You actually, you look after them because you want that relationship. For example, if I You know, when Harry was young, if I papped him in a club, and then 10 years later, I'm at Audi Polo as a host photographer, and you've got Harry in front of me. Now, obviously, if that relationship was sour, he'd say something.
Sure.
And then, you know, and that would affect your career. That affects your livelihood. So, you know, I think a lot of guys, you know, probably messed up in the early days because they were looking at the short term, not maybe the long term. You know?
Right. No, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
There you go. You know?
Yeah. You photographed Meghan before she became part of the royal family. I mean, what do you remember about her, you know?
Well, I mean, to my total embarrassment, I photographed her twice because, I mean, you know, obviously until Harry appeared with her, no one knew who she was or what she was. You know, she was on Suits, I think that was the show. It was, you know, and we, you know, obviously we'd seen her on that, but I'm not a great TV guy, so I don't see a lot of television. I'm always out working, you know. So two things happened. Soho House had a letter to Istanbul where she, a month before they opened the proper hotel in Istanbul, and she was there. And again, she was just a young actress, very pleasant, but a young actress. And in fact, even in the picture in Istanbul with a crowd, she, to my total embarrassment, she's guest. You know, do you know what I mean? She's not even, you know, she's not even named. She's guest. You know, and then obviously, you know, a year later or whatever it was, you know, and I think Soho House has got something to do with that meeting. You know, I think one of her good friends works at Soho House, and I think he's like a celebrity, you know, connection guy.
Yeah.
And I think somehow in Canada, when he was over there, that happened where they met, you know?
Interesting.
Yeah.
It is. And you photographed Harry and Meghan as a couple. What are they
Well,
like?
I haven't done a lot of them here because it quite quickly sort of became, you know, you did them at royal rotas, you know, royal events, premieres, if they came to see Lion King or whatever. Otherwise, it really would be just pap, and I don't do that. So when I saw Harry, I was with Harry at Hampton Court, which he did the last Centre Bailey event he did with Rita Ora, but he came on his own. You know, he was very protective of her, and he was very protective of even Audi Polo. She came, but she stayed in the little tent that they have for them. So we were there with all the celebrities that came to the event, you know, and William, Harry played polo, they gave prizes, did all of that sort of stuff. And on the first year, she came privately into the party and she was with me there, and I saw her there, and I didn't photograph her because that was what I'd been asked to do, you know, but I was, you know, hanging out with them, and they were loving, you know, they were really into each other. You could see that straight away. I mean, to be honest with you, you know, I mean, you know, Harry was definitely looking for his Meghan, and he found her. She's brilliant.
I mean, it's got to be frustrating as a photographer who takes, you know, obviously you take so much pride in the relationships that you create, and to see that almost the paparazzi and the media kind of drove them out of this royal life. I mean, that has to be incredibly frustrating for you as somebody that's been working with Harry for years.
Yeah, totally. I think, you know, the thing about, I suppose, you know, I find that Harry, this was going to happen to Harry anyway. And I think a lot of people have put a lot too much emphasis on Meghan. I think Harry was looking for this because, you know, he's been like that. His relationship with the press has never been great. You know, go back, you know. I've watched him grow up and he doesn't really like us, you know, for various reasons. You know, he still blames us for Diana and things like that. So even in a private event, you can feel a bit of mistrust, a bit of, you know, however much you're there helping him, working with him, there's always been that little bit of, you know, and I don't think he likes the idea of performing for us. Yeah. And I think that's, you know, and I think that was happening already. I think his relationship was already starting to break away from the norm. And I think when Meghan turned up with her whole different outlook, her American outlook, she was probably a great support. Here was someone who wasn't thinking in the old royal way.
Yeah.
It was someone who was going, well, actually, no, you can do that, you know. We can go off and do something. And I think that was really what gave him the impetus to go.
Interesting.
Mm.
And you've seen, you know, Harry and William grow up over the years. Have you seen their relationship change over time, or what's it been like?
Totally, you can see it. Yeah, completely. You know, but they've been really tight for years and years and years and years. But, you know, like all brothers, when you get to a certain age, you have your own character and your own and things that are important to you. And then you can start seeing that, you know, that break arriving. You know, but before they were the two guys, they were hanging out together all the time. But then slowly, as they got older, that started to change. And, you know, and again, Harry had his own opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, William being, you know, the heir to the throne, he's got a lot more serious things to think about. And I suppose the onus is on him to get ready for that role one day. Whereas Harry can start thinking, you know, out of the box and thinking his own things. And I think you can start to see it in the body language where Harry starts to, I suppose, not meaning to, but he does. He's spreading his wings.
Mm-hmm.
And William's just stepping back a little, go, whoa, I didn't expect that from my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a specific maybe event that you cover that you kind of maybe started noticing a little bit of a difference?
No, I tell you what, I don't do them enough to do that, to be able to say that to you. But I did start to notice it, particularly at the Audi Polo, where they, you know, there was a weekend of 2 matches. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the lovely thing where they both have to play in the same team. They can't play against each other. Yeah. So, you know, in case they, you know, in case something happens and they, you know, they fall off the course. Right. So, you know, so you've got the 2 brothers together, but then you can see as Harry started to grow up, his character and he's amazing with people, with the general public, you know, and other celebrities. In fact, I think he buys into that much more. You know, he makes people laugh. He has that, you know, everyone says he got that from his mother, you know, where you can see people, whereas William's obviously a little bit more reserved. I think this has been a great thing for William, to be honest with you, now, this last 2 months, because suddenly we've seen a new William, you know. You know, maybe it was because, you know, Harry went off somewhere else, you know, so now William's stepped up to the plate. Yeah.
You've also photographed, you know, Kate and William so many times. What is it like with Kate? Yeah,
I mean, she's perfect for William. You know, there's that classic, you can see that, can't you? There's a beautiful girl who, you know, who just loves her prince, just wanted to be that princess. And in fact, the 3 of them they were the 3 amigos, weren't they? You know, they hung out because you couldn't get between the 2 brothers for a long time. So, but she didn't need to do that. She was right there. And, you know, so great, you know, she, you know, they turn up at, you know, the Derby, they turn up at premieres, they'd be together. And then obviously, slowly, you know, it starts to break a bit, you know. She obviously has to be more supportive of William. And Harry was, you know, already starting to, you know, his charities were his own too. You know, he sent to Bele, you know, his Walking Wounded, you know, he was choosing, you know, different charities. And I think that started to, you know, happen. And then Meghan arrived. I don't know whether it was already, I think it was already happening before she arrived. Yeah. Yeah.
So you think this kind of rift was even happening before?
Yeah, there was it's not a, as I say, it's a rift now maybe in the public eye. But then it wasn't. It was just a separating of 2 brothers growing up.
Right. Yeah. Following different paths, definitely. Yeah. Have you spoken to the royals about any of their favorite photos that you have taken?
Not really. That's not really my, that, you know. And as I say, it's not, those 2 boys, the microscope's on them so much. You know, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't tell you what, you know. Because if they did, then someone would say, and then, you know, someone would say, oh, I'm Harry's favorite photographer. You see what I mean? You know, so I don't think they get up to that. You know, I think the younger, you know, we talk to, you know, the younger royals, you know, Beatrice, Eugenie, and they can say, oh, I love that picture you took of me. You know, so that, you know, you get that. You get quite a lot, you know.
And then what do you think of Kate's photography skills?
Not bad. She's got an eye.
Yeah.
She's got an eye. I mean, you know, photography's a lot easier now. You know, you don't have to develop your own film. You don't have to, you know, everything's digital and the camera's automatic. But I find that she catches the moment really quite well, especially with the kids, huh?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you
Getting out, taking our jobs, the poor girl.
Right. Did you see her recent photographs of William on his birthday?
Totally. No,
Yeah.
but as I say, she's got an eye for sure. She, you know, and it is important because a lot of people don't realize if you haven't got it, your pictures are terrible.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, there you go. Do you know what I mean? So everyone's going, oh, you know, it's so easy. It's not easy.
Dave, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Oh my God, I love Dave. He was amazing.
That was so much fun. I don't know if I'll ever be invited to one of his parties, but I want to be there.
Seriously. And if you guys want to check out all of his amazing photography, head on over to his Instagram at Dave Benett. You will not be disappointed. He's fantastic. He's great. Okay, let's move on to break down some royal rules because we learned this week that Harry and Meghan are having a little bit of trouble with their trademark, right?
Yes, and so of course reports said their trademark is canceled. It's not canceled. They are looking to trademark Archewell, their new nonprofit, but a source told Yahoo that the application was a little too vague. It wasn't signed by Harry and Meghan, and the right amount of money wasn't paid. The source added that this is normal in the back and forth of trademarking something, but yes, just another little tidbit of news that they likely didn't want out there.
No, definitely not. And we still don't know when they're going to launch Archewell. I mean, obviously with everything going on with the pandemic and things like that, kind of put a hold on things, but we still don't really know when they're planning on launching, right?
Right. And, you know, we expected to hear news in the spring after they stepped back on March 31st. Ahmed Scobie of Harper's Bazaar said that they are going to start switching the focus to Black Lives Matter, given, you know, Meghan's incredible speech and the fact that she's spoken up against racism and her own experience with racism as a biracial woman. But yeah, it seems like we'll be waiting for a little while longer. I cannot imagine the drop. I'm hoping it's sort of like a Beyonce surprise where we just wake up and it's
Here
there.
it is. Hopefully, I hope so. Okay, so before we wrap up, we have to check in on our pint-sized palace, on our royal kiddos, and obviously we talked about their new photos at the top of the show, but we did learn a little bit more about what they've been doing behind closed doors, and it's a lot of baking and gardening, right?
I know. They're living their best life, honestly. I want to garden. But Kate revealed that the kids have been gardening. They're growing tomatoes, and they're almost as high as them. She said that George has also loved playing with Venus flytraps when he goes to garden centers, which, yeah, seems a little dangerous. But William added that the kids have been just wrecking the kitchen and they've been baking a lot, and wherever they go, there's an explosion of flour.
I'm sure it's chaos in that household. I can't even imagine.
I know. I need Kate to send us some photos of, you know, we saw Louis covered in paint for his birthday. Maybe we'll see some kids covered in flour at some point.
So. Fingers crossed for that one. Well, Carly, thank you so much for breaking down all things royals. We had a lot to get to this week, and it was definitely a lot of fun as always.
So much fun. I'm already excited to see the headlines for next week. I can't wait.
Me too. Well, in the meantime, head on over to usmagazine.com for all your royal news. Keep on commenting, keep on subscribing, and we'll see you guys next week.